I recently overheard an interesting question. I hope the person doesn't mind that it wasn't a private conversation that I was listening into. Um, but I kind of get the feel as to you know who I should keep my ears open for. So the question, the question can be more appreciated by someone that has a little bit of a background in Chassidus, but it's a rather elementary level question. But I believe it's the answer that includes an important message for life and in Yiddishkeit as well. So the question takes us back to the upper Olamus, and we know that all the worlds, so they each include in the first level of every world, every Olam, is the level of Chochma. And the question is why, there's 10 Sfiras, why is Chochma the first? Let some other level be the first level. So that the one of the answers that are brought is because it's specifically Chochma that's able to serve as the channel for Hashem's Chayis. And because Chochma has something within its DNA that is attractive to Hashem, and he therefore channels his main chayis into Chochma, and then from Chochma it goes forth to whatever is going to go to the other spheres. But Hashem's main presence within the worlds is in Chochma. What's so unique about Chochma that Hashem, shall we say, feels that he wants to be most connected to? So in Chochma we have some sort of aspect of bittul. There's some sort of humility that's within Chochma that attracts Hashem, and the word Chochma is koyach ma. It's the koyach of the what. This is actually if you start learning from the Zohar, actually this is like the second or third comment that the Zohar makes, mamash on the first page, in the introduction. So the Zohar, this is what the Zohar talks about. He says Chochma is this concept of koyach ma, the level of the what. What is it? Which is that idea that it doesn't know what it is, and therefore there's this certain level of humility within Chochma. So Chassidus speaks at great length about this concept of humility within Chochma. So I'd like to address this concept of humility within Chochma from a little bit of a more practical vantage point. And I'll introduce this idea with a vart that I heard from Rabbi Chaim Reitport. He's a Lubavitcher Chassid. He's a big Talmud Chacham. He's authored 10, 15 very, very chashuv svarim on halacha, the Rambam, and Drash, and he's also a big Baal Tzedakah. He's built like close to 100 mikvahs, I believe, around the world, and many other moistus as well. But when he was a bacher, this is a little bit of an introduction to understand who we're talking about. So when he was a bacher, I heard this firsthand from Rabbi Hertz in London, who, he's a man in his late 60s, early 70s. He was, in the earlier years, maybe the Chofs. In the 60s, he was in 770. And when Rabbi Chaim Reipor was in 770 as a bacher, so he printed his first sefer, Rabbi Chaim Reipor, when he was 17. He was a self-made Talmud Chacham. I mean, he was a very hard worker, and he learned day and night. I mean, he mamish didn't sleep like couple hours every night, and he, you know, so the the Bachrim didn't take it so well that he printed it. See, this wasn't Stama Sefer. I mean, this was like a 400 page sefer on difficult halachas and the Rambam and Kodshim, and I mean, this was and he had a skummis from all the Gedolim, and I mean, this was like, wow. It wasn't just like a wow, it was like this is extremely out of the ordinary. And apparently the Bachrim felt, Lubavitch, the Chassidim, you have to be humble, and so you can't print the Sefer when you're 17. So they made a big bonfire and they burned all the Sfarim. Literally. And the Rebbe heard about it, and the Rebbe gave him, to show that he held that him printing a Sefer was a good thing, and so on and so forth. The Rebbe wrote a whole Askama to his Sefer. The Rebbe wrote a whole Pilpul addressing some of the topics that he had discussed in his Sefer, printed in the beginning. Very, very, the Rebbe gave him a lot of attention, and the Rebbe gave him something which he rarely gave to anyone. I know of one other such example. It could be there were some others. Normally, you were only able to have one Yechidus a year, and your birthday, and you had to book it months in advance, even in the 60s. The Rebbe gave him an open door policy. This is when he's a bocher, 17, 18. Whenever he wanted to have any question, he could come into the Rebbe's Yechidus room, just on the spot. I know Emmanuel Shachat, when he was a bocher, also had that. That's a separate story, but so this is Chaim Breitbart. So he said a word. He said, why in Yiddishkeit do we refer to a Torah scholar as a Talmud Chacham? So he said that in Yiddish, wie lang men is noch als a Talmud kemen sein a Chacham. So long that you're a Talmud, that you're a student, that you're on the receiving end, can you be a Chacham. But if you feel that, you learned and and now you're going to go further, if you stop growing, and stop receiving, then you're Eis Chacham. Nah, they say in English that the more you know, the less you know. The greater you are, the smaller you are. In Lubavitch, I don't want this to be taken in the wrong way. But the Rebbe taught us, starting from the Baal Shem Tov, that if you know Aleph, you teach Aleph. That we have to become, the Rebbe made us into leaders, into teachers, into mashpim already at a young age of 7. As soon as you know anything, you have to teach. Even if you're not from, you know Aleph, you teach Aleph. But we have to realize that we just know Aleph, and we have to yearn for the Beis and the Gimel. We have to continuously be growing, and the more Torah we learn, the more we realize how little we know, and how much there is, and then we'll be able to teach Beis and Gimel as well.